Hi everybody, we are now ready to kick off our webinar for today, 3 ways to rock your lead generation and full cycle sales techniques. First, we want to say thank you to all of you for joining us on this last day of Q1. And whether it be rolling into Q2 with a miss in Q1 goals or looking at ways to amplify successful sales programs, many of you are here with us today looking to add to your arsenal. You want to make your revenue a quota number. So we'll cover some key ideas on concepts that should help elevate performance, both around your lead generation and full cycle sales. Here's our agenda. We'll take less than 30 minutes to present, and at the end, we'll open it up for questions. Feel free to begin submitting any questions using the chat functionality during the webinar. And if you are active on social media, please tweet using hashtag #RockLeadGen. You can also follow us at Invenio MS. A little bit about us and your presenters. So my name is Emma Voss, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Invenio Solutions. I've been here for about 1.5 years, and my responsibilities include demand generation and raising brand awareness. Prior to Invenio Solutions, I spent 9 years at Dell, mostly in the B2B space, with a focus in digital marketing. And I have here with me Max Ochoa, Invenio Sales Training Manager. And while at Invenio, Max has spent time on the phone in both lead gen and full cycle sales programs. As a sales manager and a sales development coach, Max brings a well-rounded understanding of the sales process. Also present with us is Keith Randolph, our senior sales operations manager, and he's been with Invenio 4.5 years, has 15 years of experience in sales and marketing, and he ensures the success of sales programs, metrics and process administration, people management support, and facilitation of client reporting. Before we get too deep on the why, just a little bit about Invenio Solutions. We are a B2B full-service sales and lead development company, but that is only a sliver of what we do. You can see part of our proud history here, including where we've been named to the Inc. 5000 and Austin Business Journal's fastest 50 growing companies multiple times. This year, just in February, we won 2 Stevie's Awards. The Stevie's are awarded for professional achievement in business processes, and we won in the categories of Sales Outsourcer of the Year and Sales Training Program of the Year, both for 2015. Our services include inbound, outbound, cold calling, lead nurturing, and appointment setting, and full cycle sales, all of which you can see on this matrix as it outlines both some of our key areas of delivery and the industries you're served for over 150 past and present clients. In the end, we are about reinventing revenue generation, fueled by our culture of sales science, something we fondly call Inveniology, the study and implementation of data and metrics-driven results. And thanks to it, each year we generate over $1 billion in revenue and pipeline for our clients. Now we get into the first of 3 ways to address lead generation and full cycle sales, using metrics to build the right team. The right people in a program can make or break ROI. And at a broad level, there are 4 areas that should be fine-tuned to ensure your people capital is maximized in a customized sales program. Those areas are hiring, training, management, and execution. When done effectively, you'll see good hires, faster training, and sellers that are motivated to stay on board and drive to the success of your company. Now we'll break them down further to understand what's different in each of these areas. I'll let Max elaborate further.
Thanks, Emma. So to build the right team, you have to start with the right people. Any sales program should have predetermined testing parameters to increase hiring success in production. So let's share some of our testing results with you. Remember, it's not the specific test. There's Myers-Briggs. There's all kinds of stuff out there. The specific test is not what's important. It is that you're using testing, gathering metrics, and putting analysis to those metrics you gather. You'll see the 3 personality traits we focused on in the top right corner are aptitude, aggression, and logic. This is from a sample size of 700 plus reps across varying programs. So you'll see the mean, median, mode, standard deviation for all you hardcore numbers people. But from these results, hiring parameters are created so that we ensure hiring managers select the right people most often. So what we found, we're looking for a smart person who doesn't shy away from a phone call and has the ability to be both task and people-oriented. Not much of a surprise as far as expectations of a salesperson, but we're able to quantify those traits. That's the important part. So you'll see the two tests we have outlined here. Aptitude is meant to test problem-solving ability. So we found that once we get below a -6, either the retention or attainment goal goes down. So for aggression, in the bottom, we're looking for a score between 4 and 9. Someone that is not aggressive enough is not able to fight through those initial objections. You'll see the goal attainment is very low for this group. On the other hand, you don't want someone that's over-aggressive. They'll push a customer away or not take that customer-centric sales approach that we're looking for here. So from these tests, we've given ourselves an 85% chance of hiring the right person. Make sure you use a science or data-based approach to your hiring. So once you have the correct person in place, training comes next. We recommend a training methodology that is, consists of group and individual training, both on an initial and ongoing basis. So let me share a little bit about our process. We use a higher education theme dubbed the Academy of Sales Science. In the Academy, the first week is a bachelor's training. It's a classroom environment consisting of products, process, and sales. So of course we measure fluencies in these areas. We'll show a little bit more on that in the next slide, but basically a week-long intensive classroom environment. After the first week, you want to ensure that we're continuing development in those first influential few months. You can't expect everybody to sell the same way. So we've built a mentor program. It's designed to provide that one-on-one coaching environment. In weeks 2, 4, 6, and 8, a rep meets with a mentor while on the floor while making calls. So we've created a very interesting position here at Invenio, Sales Development Coaches, or SDCs. The title does kind of explain it, but their role is simply to find ways to increase sales acumen and develop rockstar salespeople. Imagine someone in the training department that's not necessarily tied to a specific class. But by having someone work with reps on a one-on-one level, you can monitor understanding and build coaching plans for individual development. Coach those individual differences that make salespeople so great. So we've also created a residency program here to bring back employees into the classroom to cover those finer points that were not needed to get them started. Advanced product, a more detailed explanation of the product or some ancillary product offerings that were not needed to get them ready for the floor. Process, some advanced CRM usage, maybe how to create a report so they can track their own sales. And sales. You can always become a better salesperson. It's a craft, it's a skill. You should be constantly honing your skills. Then after that initial period of training, you need to instill training programs that lead to continued education. This helps develop your next level of leaders and keep your sales force engaged. It helps prevent burnout and helps drive production. So you can see here that we have an as-needed type of training, whiteboard meetings, refresher courses, etc. But this is where the SDCs really come in handy. Then at 6 months, reps will get their master's degree, and that's focused more on advanced sales techniques, not necessarily product or program specific, just general sales skills. Then at 1 year, reps are eligible for their PhD, and that's focused on career development, building our next level of leaders. So you don't need to follow our specific model. Just make sure you have a defined training method in place, and make sure you don't expect training to be a one-time, one-size-fits-all type of solution. So training is just like everything else. It needs to be measured. We have a combination of quantitative and qualitative scoring to measure the effectiveness of our training. So you can see here some of the areas we monitor: retention in the first month, days to first sale, sales in the first month. Like I mentioned on the last slide, a product test. That is designed to test their product knowledge as they hit the floor. Check ride. The check ride is designed to test systems proficiencies, like the CRM or phone systems. Mock call. This is the bridge between training and hitting the floor. It's designed to test a rep's sales proficiencies, abilities to overcome the initial objection, for example. So once you have these data points, searching for trends will tell you what impact your training is having. For example, let's take a look at average days to first sale and average total sales in the first month. So what we do is we compare the average scores for the last 4 classes to the tenure average for the program. Basically comparing ourselves over time to how we're doing right now in order to look for trends. Here we see the trend improving for both metrics. Average day to first sale has gone down from 17 to 15 days, and the average sale size has gone up from 8,500 to over 11K. Definitely the directionality you're looking for in your trend analysis. Most likely, your training groups don't monitor these exact metrics, but we recommend something along these lines. You all have metrics that are mission critical to your companies, whether they be revenue oriented, efficiency related, what have you. But in the end, you're looking to get to market fast, and you want to understand the metrics behind how to impact your trend. Let Keith take it from here.
Thanks, Max. To ensure sales program success, you have to live and die by data analysis and always be looking for ways to increase success. An example of how to manage the scientific makeup of a rep is to develop a single performance number. We call ours the Alchemy number. It uses tons of data and is specific to each program's success markers and process of the sale. It's like a quarterback rating for each sales reps. The science behind the Alchemy number is broken down by 4 factors. First comes attendance. We found that a delta of just 15 minutes a day, or an hour and 15 minutes a week, separates top performers from underperformers. Dials to quote comes next. For this program, the benchmark is a 21 dials to quote ratio. The conversion of dials to quote shows reps are having conversations that are creating sales opportunities. Then we look closely at talk time. Reps need to be on the phones a minimum of an hour and a half a day. This correlates to longer, more in-depth discovery conversations and more follow-up calls. Now that we've measured activity and effectiveness within the Alchemy number, we're going to look at the results. Alchemy MRR equates to the rep's performance against quota using a 4-week rolling average. In the bar graph, we see an entire team's Alchemy performance. We suggest that you use one line to represent a minimum target of performance and a different line to represent optimal performance. From the team, we've drilled down into David's performance. Overall, you can see that he's got a great Alchemy score over 100, but the stoplight color coding shows us that he can improve on his dial to quote ratio. We would then specifically dig into his opening and initial objection management within his calls, as these are the areas most commonly associated with improving on conversation volume. Next, we're going to look at execution and management. The majority of success comes from coaching management. While hiring, training, and retaining a program's employees is important, so is making sure that they can sell. We suggest using a coaching formula with call grading once a week to focus on sales fluencies, the one-on-one at least once a month, and a thorough performance review plan once a year. You can see that we've drilled down on 2 sections of the one-on-one. In the table, you see the last 4 weeks of performance, and then in the graph below, the trends within 12 weeks of performance. The stoplight coding in the table and the graph shows us that while performance is good overall, an opportunity exists with sales quotes. We can see that when reps' sales quote production dips, decreases in production follow. So a takeaway for the coach is to work with the rep on quote consistency week over week. When we combine the coaching formula with tools to manage better, it gives us a good overall understanding of the rep's wins and opportunities. So that concludes our approach to way 1, building the right team. Now we look at our second way to improve your sales process, breaking up with BANT. Max, you got the mic.
Thank you, sir. So once you have the right team built, you need to ensure you have a solid sales or lead gen methodology, a sales process, if you will. You need to ensure you're maximizing your potential with each call to drive consistent production, and you need to ensure that your executive level salespeople are communicating with the right prospects at the right time. So isn't that what BANT does? It has been the lead generation industry standard for years now. So I'm going to assume that most everyone here is familiar with BANT. Many of you may even be using it right now in an attempt to apply a linear nature to a sale, qualify a lead, and measure a pipeline. Aren't those all good things? So why are we talking about breaking up with bands? We'll get a little bit more into the details in the next slide, but basically, it's in the wrong order. It's not a customer-centric sales approach, and it doesn't tie your product to the sale. So, time to break up with bands. Go ahead and block Bant from Facebook, too. So first of all, linear nature is in the wrong order. You need to lead with need. By leading with budget, you're missing timing for your well-qualified leads. It puts your top resources in contact too late. So we don't allocate funds until we need something. So if we wait to speak to a customer until a budget is created, they're already shopping. You're going to end up number 5 on a list with all of your competitors ahead, above you. So focus should be on need first. If the need or pain is strong enough, they will find the budget. So many organizations have made the same realization, and BANT is being replaced with ADAM, another sales acronym. But it's authority, need, urgency, and money. Moving the budget conversation at the end is a good start. However, it still puts authority above need. Once again, by focusing on authority first, you'll bring your business discussion to the table too late. In many environments, the final decision maker is not the person that begins the buying process. By bringing in authority, you will miss the conversation from those that actually need your product the most. By not talking to the end user or the influencer, you don't get a true understanding of their pains. Salespeople should engage in a business level discussion with whoever they get on the phone. Basically, you want to make the most out of every call. Time frame. By waiting for time frame to be just right, you end up with the RFP process with no relationship in the customer. Just another proposal in the stack. Second issue with BANT, it's not customer-centric. Even though needs a part of the process, budget and authority come first. That's a salesperson putting the value of their time over the customer. So they feel like they don't want to waste their time talking to a company that doesn't have a budget or a person that doesn't have the authority to make a final decision. If you feel like this, you should maybe hire someone to do your lead gen for you. Lastly, it doesn't apply your product as a solution to that need. It establishes the customer may have a need, but perhaps it's for something your product can't resolve, something you can't fix. BANT is missing the customer considering the impact of your product. So now that I'm done bashing BANT, let me propose an alternative. One of my favorite sayings when I was a frontline sales manager was, don't bring me an observed problem without a proposed solution. So we call it the method, or ODAC if you like the acronyms. So this is something I'm personally really proud of. Since we offer such a wide variety of services, ranging from closing deals in the SMB arena to lead gen for an enterprise-level software solution, we had to come up with a concept that fits all different kinds of sales. So telecommunication, SEO, software, hardware, shoes, whatever you need to sell, this will work. So what we've created is a customer-centric linear sales method. It's focused on finding pain and gaining agreement from the customer that your product will have an impact. So opening, discovery, agreement, close. Let's break this down a little bit. So this is something that I teach to every day, so if I start rambling and go into full-blown sales trainer mode, somebody please stop me. So opening. The goal is to open the door to a business level discussion. In your value prop, instead of highlighting a feature or something cool your product does, the potential impact of your product should be highlighted. The customer doesn't care about your product. They're never going to care about your product. What they do care about is what your product can do for them. Remember, keep a customer-centric introduction. After opening comes discovery. Discovery is about understanding your prospect's business environment. One of the main goals of discovery is to uncover any pain. And we use the term pain instead of need because it implies that emotion, creates that sense of urgency. Pain is something you have to resolve right away. Second, you want to search for a potential impact of your product, your customer's reason to consider your product. Basically, you're looking for them to outline their selling points. And you do this by asking open-ended questions to get the customer to start talking. Agreement. So this is the biggest part that BANT's missing. The goal of the agreement phase is to get the customer to agree that your product will have an impact on their business. This is where they should start visualizing your product as a solution for their pain. Feature times impact equals benefit. This is one of the big formulas we use around here. If a particular feature or product offering will have no impact on the customer, it's not a benefit to them. So you want to highlight the impact. For example, our product does X, Y, Z. What would that do for your business? At this point, if you can get them to answer that question, what they're doing at that point is telling you why they should buy your product. So you can see that the first 3 stages are all based on need. So now that you have opened the door to a business level discussion, you've discovered the customer's pain, and you've got some agreement that your product would have an impact, it's time to close. So you got to close with a BAT. A little bit of play on words here. It's a different BAT for full cycle sales versus lead gen. Lead gen. You still want to make sure it's a qualified lead. So how do you do that? It's simple. You ask the customer, what does your decision-making process look like? Get them to be specific. Who's involved? What would they want to see? How long does that process take? And in describing the decision-making process, they're going to outline budget, authority, and time frame. They're going to give you the BAT. You can use hypothetical questions. You know, maybe if our product was a perfect fit, what would the next steps be? Or last time you made a decision like this, how long did that typically take? And once you get their decision-making process outlined, you're going to want to align your sales process with their buying process. So do you set up a meeting now? Do you set up a demo? Or do you place them in a drip campaign for follow-up later? And then for full cycle sales, you use a BAT for a hard close, but you're not pressuring them into saying yes. You use your BAT for a hard close by pressuring them into a decision. Decision is customer-centric. And by going through the first 3 stages, the opening, discovery, and agreement, there should only be one logical decision. It's a yes. So that concludes my sales ramblings. I'll let Keith talk some numbers.
Thanks, Max. Now to our final way to rock lead gen and full cycle sales. Visibility to and insights from sales program metrics, where we're going to share some client examples. In this section, we're going to rock lead gen with metrics. We're going to share some of our success and hopefully impact yours. If you're investing in any sales effort, at the highest level, you're looking for ROI. With internal sales team efforts, companies often share with us their pains. Typically, their pains revolve around time to production and ROI. Their variable costs lead to no visibility of an ROI or even a forecasted ROI. As outsourced sales providers featuring a fixed cost, we work hard to show ROI, as in this example. Of course, every program has a different ROI, so let's look at the metrics that manage it. Of course, every program has a different ROI, so let's look at the metrics that manage it. Just like the periodic table groups elements with similar properties, we recommend metrics that manage ROI fall into similar groups. On the left-hand side, we see individual and team metrics are closely aligned. These make up program performance and KPIs, which lead to client reporting and ultimately prospect conversion. Now let's look at some of the elements of successful programs. We'll start with individual metrics. So what's the cost of business when attrition occurs? We've identified attrition as a key risk. When top reps leave, performance suffers. In response, with the help of our clients, we've created the attrition prediction tool, where we can accurately predict attrition by paying close attention to activity metrics. In this example, we see that activity has already dipped with Stacy and there's a sharp decline with Steve. A proactive conversation would then occur with these reps around role investment and their goals, not just about activity. Conversely, you can see that Alex is doing really well against his own averages and that Alex is a fully engaged employee. Also featured here is the stacked ranking. If you've been in sales, you know it's vital to keep score. We communicate performance weekly across a program so everybody knows where they stand in relation to the big red line. However you manage attrition and sales at the individual level, we know that attention to detail and closely tracking where you've been is of value to our clients. So in order to evaluate the effectiveness of an individual sales rep, it's essential they are monitored by their call coach with call grading. Call grading applies a number value to each category and the overall call. It converts the qualitative to a quantitative metric. In this example, you can see the reps scored a 2 in the tone, tempo, mirror, and match category. After calls are evaluated, call coaches then download the results of call grading with the rep afterwards. The call grading form updates to the database in real time and provides historical tracking, as you can see at the bottom of the form. This may not be the way that you're evaluating calls, but we recommend devising a way to measure calls with trackable, repeatable metrics. For team metrics, this is an example from one of our financial industry clients. The top graph is a summary of some great Q4 performance. In October, we produced 86 leads. If your average sales price was $50K, that's $4.3 million in pipeline. What would that do to impact your ability to achieve 2015 sales goals? The bottom graph is a summary of 360 feedback in the same time frame. We find that clients appreciate the opportunity to provide lead-by-lead feedback. So we offer a convenient portal to receive details and suggestions on how to improve the quality of leads provided. We then make adjustments to prospecting efforts, and the result improves sales performance. For a program view, let's look at KPIs and insights for one of our online advertising clients. On the left-hand side, with leads per agent and revenue per lead, you can see there's a relationship between the frequency of data delivered by the client to Invenio and the production that follows. In early 2014, the sweet spot of leads per agent was found, and revenue per agent increased. Then on the right-hand side, it's important for this client partnership to also measure the average number of contacts to sale and, of course, average revenue produced by each rep. Average revenue per rep is a key metric you should use to measure the health of a sales program. Now, let's look at some examples of client reporting. In order to put data and metrics analysis in the hands of those responsible for performance, you need to have a metrics team with proficiency in multiple CRMs. This allows for speed and consistency in reporting metrics. This example comes from a lead generation client in the healthcare sector. Here we have highlighted a pipeline of about 191,000. When you consider the average sales price of around $8,000, you can see how we've progressed across the first 7 months. In this report, you can also see that we summarize lead status, call dispositions, conversion rate, along with the KPI summary. On the next example from a financial services appointment setting client, we offer a tier status summary of the leads being worked, dispositions, and a weekly percentage to goal summary. No matter how you handle metrics in client reporting, it's vital to the partnership to clearly report the performance to goal or the pipeline that's been generated. Lastly, let's look at Invenio's lead generation ROI tool for prospective clients. This is a perfect actual data example of attaining and applying the right metrics. Since showing ROI is essential to proving our worth, we get the sales specifics and then calculate targets to get results. As the ROI tool shows in this graph, it's not just ROI that's important to consider, but the time it takes to show ROI. Clear communication of a program's specifics provides you with the appropriate expectations to kick off the partnership.
So that concludes our webinar for today. We really appreciate everyone making the time to join us. And should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, Emma Voss, at inveniomarketing.com. You can see my contact information up here. And again, we'd like to just say thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you if you have any further questions. Thanks again.